My granddad and his brother grew up in Walla Walla thinking their dad was dead. My father was born and raised in Walla Walla, very, very close to his grandmother, but absolutely never allowed to ask what happened to his grandfather. He was just gone, dead, buried, that was it. His name was James Otis Kenyon. He was the first dentist in the Milton Free Water area in the early 1900s and was doing really, really well for himself for a number of years until another dentist moved into town and took away half of his business. So my great-grandfather decided the best way to deal with that was to burn down the other dentist's office. He did so in the middle of the night, so nobody was hurt, but he did burn it to the ground, and he did end up doing some time. He got caught, but because he'd been such an upstanding member of the community up until this point, a number of people from both Milton Free Water and Walla Walla signed a petition saying he shouldn't go to prison, and instead he spent about 2 years in the Pendleton Mental Institution. His patient records said he performed excellent dental work for the staff and inmates. My great-grandmother moved the giant 10 miles to Walla Walla and told everybody he was dead, including their 2 sons. I mean, even in 1923, the distance between Milton Free Water and Walla Walla was not that big. I'm sure everybody in this town knew what had happened, but the town basically kept the secret. So in the early 70s, when my parents were getting married, it was kind of my mom that was able to say, this is really weird, he can't even ask questions about what happened to him, you know, he's just gone. They did some research and couldn't find a death certificate for him anywhere and continued to search and ended up finding James still alive. He was 85 years old when they found him, and he was living in Lincoln City on the Oregon coast. My parents drove down to Lincoln City, and they go to a payphone and call, and a woman answers the phone, and my dad asked to speak with James, and she says that, you know, I'm sorry, he's taking a nap. And my dad said, without thinking, you know, who this woman is, you know, what is going on in his life, my dad said, well, I think he's my grandfather. And the woman pauses for a long time, and she's just like, oh, I'm so glad you called. And so they went to the house, and James opened the door, and my dad said it was like looking exactly at his dad, only older, and so he held out his hand to shake his hand and say thank you, and James gave him a big hug and came in, and that was it. I mean, they talked all afternoon, and my parents spent the night at their house, and that's just kind of how it was after that. What's been really amazing about us starting the winery is my granddad never talked about his dad. When we first decided to name the winery Otis Kenyon and kind of tell the story, we asked his permission, and he gave it to us instantly. Absolutely, do what you need to do. Yes, absolutely. But I think he was doing that more because he wanted us to succeed. At his 92nd birthday, he told a story about how he remembered going to visit his dad when he was in the mental institution. So he knew he wasn't dead. And it's taken the winery and us sharing the wine at family gatherings and having his physical picture of his dad on the label has really made him talk about things more.